Okay, we are moving on now to use a little trick to solve equations using our graphing calculator. Um, if you're having trouble solving equations because it's a very complicated problem, you can use this. If you want to check your work, you can use this little trick. It's a really good way to also see how an equation is represented using a graph. Everything ties together in algebra. This is a concept we'll be exploring more throughout the year, but this is our first taste of it. So before we get started, I'm not doing this at school, so I don't have this calculator um, on my own device. So, oh, it's actually working now. I couldn't get this to write. We're going to be using this y equals button on the top left of your calculator screen. We are also going to be using the X button, which is right here. Okay, that's the X button. And this one right here is the Y equals button. To show you some things, we're going to be using this graph button. And that's about it. After that, I'll come back to the screen and show you the other buttons we're going to use. All right. So here we go. Let's see. We're going to solve just like our previous page. I'm going to stick with this fairly simple equation. And our directions will be solve for x. So we're going to pretend now that we don't know what the solution is. We can't figure it out. And we're going to use our calculator. So first thing, we're going to use our y equals button. Remember, top left. Okay. We're going to do that. And then this is the screen right here that you'll see after you press the y equals button. So here, just erase this terrible thing. We're going to use the buttons on our calculator to type 3x plus 2. And remember that weird X button is right next to the green button. So we type that, and then we hit graph. So that's what's down here. Okay, our graph button is towards the top of the right. And then you get this line here. We're not going to look too deeply into that line. That's going to come in the future. So we have the left side of our equation, but remember, our equation is 3x plus 2 equals 8. So this part we put into our y1 line. Now the 8 we're going to put on our next line in the y2 line. So what you're going to do is go back to your y equals button. Remember, that's the top left button. Make some room here. So we're going to go back to our y equals button. And this time you're going to scroll down to y2. Remember, this is the right left side. And now here, we're going to type in an 8 where that cursor is. And that is on the next page. So we type 8. Now you're going to press graph again. Okay, that graph button, top right side. And what we've done is we've just graphed two lines that represent two different sides of our equation. Now the solution is where the two graphs meet, right there. That is our solution. Now, I don't think that's very helpful because who knows what that is. So what we are going to do is find a point. It's going to give us two numbers. And if you remember back from last year, the X and the Y, we're going to look for that first number. So I'm going to pause this for 1 second so I can show you the buttons that we're going to use for the next part. So looking back at our friendly calculator, once you're on the graph screen, you're going to choose the second button. Okay, that's the blue. And then you're going to pick trace, which is on the top right there. A lot of times I'll say second calc, because what happens, the blue is activated. So we're going to do some calculations. And then we're going to choose number 5. So let's see, I do have a screenshot. I didn't put all of the different options in our packet because I thought that was a little excessive. So here we have our graph. So we want to find this point. So you're going to press second trace, just like I wrote here. And then you're going to choose option number 5, intersect. Okay. Let's go back to our original. If I can find it in here. So now, lots of scrolling around. Here's our buttons that we pick. Second, trace, and then choose option number 5. You are going to press enter 3 times. And then it's going to give you your answer down here on the bottom of the screen, x equals 2. That's what we already found on the first page, so that shouldn't come as a surprise. But what's kind of cool about this is if you're stuck, you can use this as a way to solve an equation. So in class, we're going to talk about what that means. That's not part of our solution. But what happens is when you check your work, when you plug x equals 2 in, when you evaluate the side of the equation, you get y equals 8. So that's something that is kind of above and beyond what we're looking at here in this video, but it is pretty neat to see. So now this last one is just a little bit more practice. We're going to use our calculator to solve this equation. Sorry if you hear all the beeping. They're doing some construction on my road today, of course. So we have 2 sides of our equation. Oh, and there go my dogs. That's going to go into y1. And then this side is going to go into y2. So remember, you press your y equals button. And I'm going to type 2x plus 4 into y1. And then 16 into y2. When you hit graph, remember we hit graph next, there's a problem with this one. You can't see it. So what we need to do is change the window. So where you would see that, oops, come on, clear this. There's a window button, top right here. That's like a way that you can zoom out on your calculator or zoom in, kind of like if you're taking a picture on your phone. Oh man. So our standards that, remember the x, well maybe you don't remember. Here's x, here's y. So this says this goes from -10 to 10, and then the y goes from -10. So this is what we want to change. We want to change the y max to 20. So then what happens is you can fully see your graph. So you press graph, and then once you see everything, you press second button, trace, and then you press enter 3 times. And what it's going to give you is x equals 6, y equals 16. So we only want to steal our x number. So you put that there. This is not something that is very easy at first. It takes practice, and then the more you practice, the easier it will become. But if you missed the lesson today, you really should stay for extra help with one of us.